guys, how you guys doing? It's Eman.
And Isa.
And for today's vlog, we will be going to our Tito's Cafe. So I'm not yet showered yet and
in just a moment. Absolutely cannot wait, Robert.
It looks like they're making individual introductions to
Yeah.
some of the players and speaking here. And honestly, this might be one of the tensest moments of the round. You may think the game hasn't started yet, but those nerves before you actually grab the piece and make your first move, that is a tough moment for the players as they have to calm their jitters and just play objective chess.
Well, and we saw the first move being made by our honorary first move maker. What is the official title of the people that do that? Honorary
Guest of honor.
Guest. Wow, you're so good at things like that. Guest of honor. Honorary first move maker. I feel sounds better.
That is a tongue twister. I think we should try to say that 5 times fast.
Honorary first move maker. Okay. Anyway, well, we see that the honorary first move was made, and then of course it was taken back so that Jan could make the move himself, and then we see C4 is on the board for Jan Nepomniachtchi, and that first game has officially gotten underway. The other games following closely behind it. Now, C4 played here from Jan. Not a surprise. It is different than what he played in round 8. For those of you who've been following closely here, E4 was played by Nepomniachtchi, and a Sveshnikov Sicilian occurred in his first game with the white pieces against Anish Giri. So a little bit of a mix-up there at the very least, right? We have liftoff in a new direction. I'm going to click on another game to see where it's going. We've got, speaking of the Sveshnikov, Maxime Vachier-Lagrave is going to give his hand, going to throw his hat in the ring to challenge Anish Giri's opening here with the move 7 knight d5, which we know is not the most mainline of mainline theories, but a very principled approach for white and one that we've seen at the highest levels a lot.
Yeah, well, Magnus Carlsen has repopularized these Sveshnikovs and these sort of Lasker Pelican variations. And it's a weird position just to start off with. Right now, you see that the pawn structure is not symmetrical. And that's often the case in the Sicilian, but unlike some of the Najdorfs that you see with this backwards D pawn that can get under attack, here there's a pawn on D5. So the D6 pawn doesn't feel as threatened, but white has so much space thanks to having a pawn on your own 5th rank versus black's most extended pawn being on his own 4th.
And of course, in exchange for that, the lack of space, black does have a structure that provides for, we'll say, a clear plan, I guess, potentially on the king side, getting F5 at some point and having a couple of pawns there gaining space is often what black looks for. Now, delayed or more aggressive is the different theory we might see, but white has this long-term positional edge. You talked about it. It's a space advantage, and it's a big majority over here on the queen side. So with time, white has intentions to flex on that side of the board and really use the space advantage well. So setting the tone with very superficial positional analysis. Robert, you and I had the pleasure of talking about this position, this structure a lot in the 2018 World Championship, where Fabiano Caruana took the white pieces several times against Magnus Carlsen in this line.
I was going to say there's a certain world champion who's probably watching and commentating on this game with great satisfaction. You know, maybe he inspired the players, but also with a curious eye, because this could be one of the players that he faces for the world championship title later this year. And when you look at a position like this and you're a player who plays this, you note that there's several different options for black at this moment, which is probably why Anish we'll try to figure out what to do, because the main move, I believe, is bishop e7, just a calm developing move, getting ready to castle. You can also throw in this a6 move to kick the knight out. And those decisions are actually very difficult. Mm-hmm. When do you want to push that knight back, or is that knight not doing as much as it could over towards the queen side, rather back in the center when it comes back to c3? So we see that Anish just developed his bishop to e7. That is the most principal choice. And we're just at the start of this game, and these players tend to be deeply prepared.
No, you're absolutely right. And Magnus obviously, knows these guys are not just familiar with his games, but, working as hard as he is and potentially trying to improve and adjust and find those slight different moments to the footwork changes just slightly, and it can have great impact on the goals of the position later on. So totally agree. And this could be a preview potentially of an approach we see later on, as you said, because we know Magnus plays these lines as black. And am I correct in seeing what I'm seeing here? C5 on the board. What is this?
Wow.
We didn't see that move in the World Chess Championship.
No, that must be a rare decision. And instead of C5, what looks more standard is just a bishop development move. You can choose which bishop E2, bishop E3, or even bishop D3. You choose dark square, light square bishop. However, but playing C5, that's a really forcing move. Black will not be taking that pawn. That is for sure, because not all free pawns are really free. If you do take that pawn on C5, you actually get yourself in devastating trouble with after D6, hitting the bishop on E7, threatening knight C7 with the fork, winning the rook on A8. So black would just be losing material if you take the pawn.
This is fascinating. We are in for something, boys and girls. That is for sure. We've got the move C5 on the board. I do not see if Anish has responded yet. He has not. He got up for a second and got some water, but this is a huge moment per percentage wise, just in terms of the database, which you can use it at chess.com and any of the many global database tools. We're talking bishop E2 hundreds of times, bishop E2 hundreds of times, bishop D3 hundreds of times, bishop E3, the third most popular move. So C5 has only been played 9 times, according to chess.com's opening explorer. Of course, those games are slightly parsed. We kind of curate that database to focus on games of 2,200 FIDE for both players and higher, and work on making sure that it's mostly the elite tournaments that get into the database. But it's just reflective of the fact that while this is not a novelty, Robert, everyone saw our reactions, right? We both went, whoa, right? It was like, all right, here goes MBO, right? He's going for the win, baby. This is not a novelty, but it's a novel idea, it would seem. And it certainly seems to have caught Anish Giri a little bit by surprise.
And it is a curious decision. I'll add that much, because are you really threatening to take on D6? You can get the bishop pair. That sounds good, but you give yourself an isolated pawn. So that's the big discussion point that I'm considering right now. As if I were Anish, I would spend some time. I'm in no rush. The time control allows you to think and before you get to move 40. And here's the big question.
An approach we see later on, as you said, because we know Magnus plays these lines as black. And am I correct in seeing what I'm seeing here? C5 on the board. What is this?
Wow.
We didn't see that move in the World Chess Championship.
No, that must be a rare decision. And instead of C5, what looks more standard is just a bishop development move. You can choose which bishop E2, bishop E3, or even bishop D3. You choose dark square.
Highly relatable. Mate in one. Promote.
Get yourself in devastating trouble with after D6, hitting the bishop on E7, threatening knight C7 with the fork, winning the rook on A8.